They said my boyfriend shouldn't come to Christmas dinner because people might ask questions. He uses a wheelchair. I stayed home with him. The next day my revenge was inevitable. They told me not to bring my boyfriend to Christmas dinner because he uses a wheelchair. That was the entire reason. I thought I'd misread the message at first. My mom had sent it on a Wednesday afternoon, casual like she was talking about the weather. She said they were excited for the holidays and it would be nice if I came, but maybe it was best if Nathan didn't come this year. Then the part that really set my blood boiling. It's not personal. It's just that people might ask questions and we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I actually had to sit down. Nathan and I had been together for just over a year. And he wasn't some temporary fling. He was the person I was building a future with. A brilliant programmer who worked harder than anyone I knew. The kind of man who listens more than he talks and somehow always knows how to make me feel calm even when the world's on fire. He also happened to be paralyzed from the waist down. And apparently in my family, that was enough to make him unwelcome at their table. The part that stunned me most wasn't even what she said. It was how normal she tried to make it sound. Like I was supposed to just agree and thank her for the heads up. As if cutting someone I love out of a family holiday was a reasonable thing to ask. We'd spent the whole year trying to build something with my family. Nathan had been bending over backward for them, literally paying their bills behind the scenes. When their fridge broke, he covered the replacement. When my dad's work hours got cut, Nathan offered to help with rent. He never said anything about it publicly. He never wanted attention. It was just his way of saying he was in this. That he cared about me and, by extension, the people I came from. And this was what he got in return. I showed him the message. He just nodded. Said we could stay home, no big deal. I could see he meant it or tried to. But I also saw how quickly he folded inward after reading it, like some invisible weight had just doubled on his shoulders. I didn't press him. We made a quiet dinner at home. Watched Home Alone and drank wine. I tried to pretend like it was enough. But it wasn't. The next morning I opened the budgeting app on his tablet, the one we used to track shared expenses, and saw the payments scheduled for the 27th. My parents' internet bill. Their car insurance. A leftover balance from the new fridge. A recurring deposit of $250 to their account marked rent support. He was still helping them. After that message. After everything. I didn't even think. I started canceling. Payment by payment. Unsubscribed from the bills. Marked the upcoming transfer as disputed. Called the bank and froze any upcoming automated transactions related to their names. Nathan didn't realize until later. When I told him, he looked uncomfortable. Said he didn't want to make things worse between me and my family. That maybe they just didn't know how to deal with things. That maybe they just needed time. But they'd had time. And they used it to draw a line between acceptable and different. Between family and burden. And I was done pretending I didn't see it. They had used his kindness as a lifeline. And then tossed him aside the moment it clashed with their comfort. They were about to learn what happens when you burn bridges while living on the island someone else built for you. And this was just the start. It didn't even take 24 hours. By noon the next day my mom was calling. Missed call. Then another. Then a third. I didn't pick up. Nathan was next to me on the couch, sipping his coffee like nothing had changed. But it had. Everything had. A few hours later a text from my dad came through. Did something happen with the bill? Internet's down. Can you ask Nathan if there's a mistake? No mistake. I didn't answer. Instead, I sat there thinking about how quickly they noticed when the money stopped. Not when the chair rolled out of sight. Not when their daughter skipped Christmas for the first time in her life. Just when the money dried up. By evening they showed up. I heard the car outside before I heard the knock. Nathan looked at me. I told him to stay where he was. My parents walked in like they owned the place. No hi. No how are you. No apology. My dad went straight to the point. Said something had gone wrong with their payments. Asked if Nathan was having technical issues, like he was just their IT guy. Not the person they had refused to sit at the table 2 days ago. I let them talk. Just watched them pretend to be calm while they panicked. My mom tried to soften it with a smile. Said maybe this was all a misunderstanding. That they didn't mean for it to be hurtful. Nathan was quiet. He looked like he wanted to disappear. I knew that look. I knew he hated drama, hated tension, especially when it came to me and my family. But I didn't let them get away with it. I told them everything. That I'd seen the payments, that I'd stopped them. That they had no right to ask for help from someone they couldn't even acknowledge as family. My mom's expression changed fast. My dad asked if I was being serious. I told them to leave. I didn't yell. I didn't explain twice. They left angry, confused, maybe for the first time realizing that I wasn't going to play along anymore. Nathan looked at me afterward and said he didn't want to be the reason I lost my parents. I told him he wasn't. They had made that choice on their own the moment they decided to treat him like a liability. But I wasn't done. Not even close. That night I called my cousin Dylan. Told him everything. Danielle too. They were shocked, not just by the money part but by how far my parents had gone. They told me they always liked Nathan. Always respected him. Said I was doing the right thing. Then Dylan said something that stuck. They didn't just insult him. They used him. That's fraud, Scarlett. If the money was given under the idea of being part of the family, that's manipulation. He wasn't wrong. It hadn't started as revenge. But it was going to end like it. Because there was one more thing they didn't know. Nathan had written the $5,000 they'd taken as a formal gift in a message. But there was no signed document. No legal agreement. And I had every right to challenge it. So I made one more call that night. To a lawyer. And things were about to get very real. The lawyer's name was Victoria, a friend of Danielle's who specialized in civil disputes and small claims. I told her everything. The gifts, the payments, the exclusion, the sudden panic when the support stopped. He didn't hesitate. If the money was given without a signed agreement and under personal misrepresentation, we can go after it. $5,000 is small in the grand scheme, but the principle matters here. It wasn't about ruining them. I just wanted the line drawn. Permanently. The letter went out on New Year's Eve. Happy holidays. A formal demand for repayment of the $5,000 Nathan had transferred over the year, citing manipulation, emotional distress, and abuse of goodwill. A full explanation of the situation. And a warning. Pay up or we take it to court. They didn't respond. Not at first. But word got out fast. Chris called me 2 days into January. He was furious. Not at me, at them. He'd had no idea Nathan was helping our parents. No one did really. My cousins were stunned. Everyone knew our parents could be selfish, but this was a new level. People started picking sides, but the sides weren't split. Everyone, except for the two of them, stood with us. On the 6th day my parents finally called. First it was my mom crying, trying to act like she couldn't believe I'd do this to family. Then my dad threatening to get a lawyer too. So I handed the phone to Nathan. I didn't know what he'd say. I'd never seen him like that before. Calm, collected, completely done. He told them they'd taken from him in every way. His time, his trust, his money, and then treated him like he was embarrassing. He said the lawsuit wasn't about the money, it was about principle. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't explain himself twice. When he hung up, he looked a little shaken. But more than that, he looked free. I kissed him on the cheek and said this was just the beginning of us doing things our way. A few weeks later they tried to fight it in court. Claimed it was a gift. But Victoria was thorough. She brought up the texts, the Christmas exclusion, the sudden disappearance of payments. She showed the court how their entire relationship with Nathan was transactional. Until they got what they wanted and discarded him. We won. The judge ordered them to return the full $5,000. They were stunned. I think it broke something in them, not the money but the idea that we didn't need them anymore. That we'd actually drawn the line and defended it. Nathan cried in the car. Quietly. Just a few tears. Then he laughed. He said he never imagined someone would fight for him like that. I told him that's what love looks like. That's what real family does. And from that day forward my parents were out of our lives. Not a break. Not a timeout. But everyone else? Stronger than ever. Cousins, friends, even neighbors reached out to say they were proud of us. That they respected us more now. That Nathan was and always had been part of this family. Turns out the only people who didn't see it were the ones who didn't deserve to. It's strange how fast everything changed after the court ruling. My phone didn't stop buzzing for days. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in months were reaching out. People I only saw at weddings or baby showers now calling to say they had no idea what my parents had done. And everyone had the same tone in their voice. Not pity. Not drama. Respect. Danielle and Dylan invited us over for dinner 2 days after the ruling. When we got there it wasn't just them. Chris showed up too along with his girlfriend. And their little gathering turned into something I hadn't expected. A family dinner. One where Nathan was the center of it. Chris told Nathan without hesitation that he respected the hell out of him. Said he'd watched the way Nathan handled everything, with patience, with dignity, and that it made him look at his own life differently. Dylan gave him a fist bump and said if he ever needed someone to crash Thanksgiving with, he had an open seat for life. Danielle hugged him and didn't let go right away. And Nathan, who'd been so quiet through most of the past month, just kept saying thank you. Not like someone who needed validation, but like someone who didn't know people could care this much, this openly. That night, on the way home, he said he finally understood what I meant when I told him he was never the problem. He said, I thought I was just surviving. You made me realize I deserve more than that. There was something different in his voice. Something steady. Confidence maybe. Or just relief. We started hearing less and less from my parents after the case. I think losing in court embarrassed them more than anything else. I heard through Chris that they told a few people the lawsuit was just about money, and that I had always been dramatic. But it didn't matter anymore. No one believed them. Not after everything. We got a handwritten letter a few weeks later. My mom's handwriting. No return address. She wrote that she hoped we could talk again someday. That she missed me. That families argue but blood is blood. I threw it away. Blood might be blood. But loyalty, respect, love? That's earned. We spent the next month in peace. No texts. No tension. Just us finally in a space where everything felt safe. I watched Nathan work on a new app idea, something for accessibility in gaming, and he was lit up in a way I hadn't seen before. Like something had unblocked in him. The people who mattered stayed close. My family, the real kind, Danielle, Dylan, Chris, they made space for him. For us. And slowly, Nathan stopped holding his breath around people. He stopped waiting for the door to close again. And I realized something too. Sometimes revenge isn't fire and fury. Sometimes it's a courtroom. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's letting people feel what absence really means. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge is just walking away and watching them realize you never needed them to begin with. Mid-February, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. It was my mom. She was calling from a different phone, probably assuming I'd blocked her number. She asked if we could talk. Said it wouldn't take long. I told her she had 3 minutes. She got to the point quickly. My dad had been laid off. Money was tight again. She didn't ask outright, but it was clear what she was getting at. She was testing the waters, seeing if I'd softened. Maybe somehow we'd pretend none of it happened and Nathan would step back in like he always used to. I asked her if she understood why we went to court. She said yes, but she still thought it was unnecessary. That family should handle things privately. That we blew it out of proportion. That was all I needed to hear. I told her there wouldn't be another second chance. That she'd shown us exactly who she was. That Nathan wasn't her backup plan, her silent ATM, her ghost son-in-law she could hide from view when it didn't suit her image. He was my partner. My future. And they were no longer part of either. She said something about love, about forgiveness. I hung up. That same week, Nathan launched the beta for his new project. A platform for accessible gaming reviews, designed entirely by disabled gamers and developers. He called it Level Ground. It took off faster than either of us expected. A few journalists picked it up and suddenly people were emailing him from everywhere. Sponsorships, speaking gigs, collaborations. He'd never looked more alive. He got invited to speak at a tech conference in March. Danielle and I went with him. I watched him on stage talking about barriers and inclusion and what it really means to build something that doesn't just include people, but centers them. The applause afterward was thunderous. I saw something shift in him that night. It wasn't about being accepted anymore. It was about leading. When we got home, there was another letter waiting. My dad this time. No apology. Just a reminder that family is complicated and they missed us. I didn't show it to Nathan. I just tossed it in the trash. They missed the old Nathan. The one who didn't ask for anything. The one who helped them without expectation. That version of him was gone. This new one, he didn't bend. He built. Spring came fast and with it something I didn't expect. An invitation. Not from my parents. From Aunt Lisa. It was for a family reunion barbecue in May, hosted at her place near Lake Huron. She wrote that she wanted us there. Both of us. No ambiguity. No hint of guilt tripping. Just honesty. Danielle and Dylan were going. Chris too. And I guess word had traveled about what happened, because the invite had a handwritten note at the bottom. Tell Nathan we'd be honored to have him. I stared at it for a while. Nathan was hesitant. I could tell. Even after everything, the idea of walking into a crowd of people who shared blood with the ones who hurt him still made him pause. But in the end he agreed. We went. The moment we walked into the backyard, something weird happened. People clapped. Not polite clapping. Actual full-on applause. Dylan yelled out, "There they are." And Danielle handed Nathan a plate of ribs like nothing had ever happened. My Uncle Mike pulled him aside and said, "You got guts, kid. Wish I had half of yours." It was surreal. Nathan kept looking at me like he couldn't tell if it was a joke. But it wasn't. Even the people I barely knew, second cousins, old neighbors, distant relatives, came up just to shake his hand. To say they followed his project. That they saw the article about Level Ground. That they'd heard what my parents did and couldn't believe it. That's when Aunt Lisa told us something that completely blindsided me. After the court case, some of the relatives had tried to talk to my parents. Told them they needed to make things right, apologize. Not just for the money. For the cruelty. My mom refused. My dad said we were overreacting. So they'd been quietly uninvited from the reunion. Not by me. By the family they were so desperate to protect from awkward questions. They didn't even know the event was happening. We stayed till midnight. Nathan got pulled into a game of cornhole with Chris and Dylan. He laughed more in one night than I'd seen him laugh in months. Danielle whispered to me while we watched him, said she always knew he was something special. On the drive home, Nathan was quiet. Then he turned and said something that stopped me cold. "I want to propose to you. Not today, but soon. I want to do it when it's just us. Not because of any of this, but because I never really believed someone could love me this way. And now I can't imagine life without it." I didn't cry. I just took his hand and held it all the way home. And a few weeks later it happened. He proposed in the most Nathan way possible. In the living room over coffee and code and a sleepy Sunday morning. No ring yet. Just the question. And I said yes. So here we are. Not because we proved a point. Not because we got revenge. But because we cleared the space for a life that's real. One we get to build without shame, without conditions, without people pretending to love us while secretly wishing we were different. The final surprise. My mom emailed me a week later. Just one line. I saw the engagement online. Congratulations. I hope one day you'll forgive us. I didn't respond. Some people deserve silence. Others deserve everything. And Nathan, he's getting everything.